September. Okay. As journalists, we use opportunities like these both to inform our reporting, but also to help voters understand the choices that they face in a consequential and historic election year. NABJ has partnered with PolitiFact to fact-check this conversation in real time. You can access that feed on social media using the hashtag NABJFactCheck. Again, the hashtag is NABJFactCheck. We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste any time, so let's bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump. Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think.
I'm told that Trump is demanding that NABJ not do the live fact-checking, and that's why the event hasn't started yet. Is that true? Is HDR like the new 4K 1080p 1000 FPS? I don't know what that comment is supposed to mean. 4K is a significant improvement over 1080p. If you're still running a 1080p monitor and not even at least 1440p, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. But you absolutely should not be using a 1080p monitor anymore if you can afford a better one. Jesus Christ. Number one. Number two, 60 to 120 FPS is a significant increase in quality. Like, if you've used a 120 frame rate or 120 refresh rate monitor, going back to 60, it looks like going from 60 to 30. It's actually insane. Yeah, okay.
It was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States.
Oh my God. Why the fuck did Donald Trump agree to come to this?
Which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to...
Do you not feel that way from about LCD to OLED? I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck kind of monitor I have. Like I have like, for instance, I have like an HDR setting on this monitor. When I turn around, it looks like shit. But I don't even know if this does HDR for real. I don't know if this is OLED or I don't even know what the fuck display I have right now.
To go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir.
You need to enable HDR settings in your monitor settings too. I think I have one of those like fake HDR monitors. Hold on one second. I feel like this is going to be a very brutal convo for Trump. May 13th. When did I replace this monitor on my right? I honestly have no idea. Oh, I think it was this one. "4K 60 hertz or 2K 120 hertz. Pick one, Desert Island." For work, you do the higher resolution. For gaming, you do the higher refresh rate. I don't think this one does HDR for real. Like, this is back when they first started making them, and there were like 2 real HDR monitors on the market, I think. And this was, I don't think, one of them. I don't remember how long ago I bought this, though. Oh, I bought this monitor like 4 years ago.
Now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question.
Oh my God, he's such a fucking pussy ass bitch baby motherfucker. This is what I mean. I think I said this on Piers yesterday. I think the video just got posted today. That one of the things that JD Vance does really poorly, he's going to end up getting tossed. That Trump does really well is Trump is shameless. Trump has absolutely no shame. He will say crazy shit and keep on rolling. He will fight with people. He doesn't give a fuck. He is shameless. So we'll see. Yeah. Like the idea of being in an interview with someone and being like, I have never been asked such a rude question. in my entire life.
You have used language like that.
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say,
Why is it so
hello,
quiet?
how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for.
Nice. I can't believe he just referenced a lawmaker and a kind of policy. Okay. Big points. Good job, Donald Trump. That might be one of the first and only times I've ever heard him actually do that. Good job.
Black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that, and let me go
Oh, and he doesn't even answer the question too.
a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said,
Oh my God, he is so ass pained. Holy shit.
you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer the
very
question on
nasty
your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President
That's
Johnson,
my
who signed the
answer.
Voting Rights
And
Act.
for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. I really do.
Like attack. Bring up a good thing totally unrelated to the question. Like attack. Like that's the strategy.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters.
She's doing like I keep calling this like the British style of interviewing, but I guess it's not necessarily. Who's the black guy that interviewed Elon that triggered the fuck out of him? Don Lemon is kind of similar, where you always just don't engage with anything the person says if they haven't answered your question, and then you either re-ask the question or you sidestep and then you ask the next question, and you never engage, you never take the bait. Seems like that's what she's trying to do. We'll see how long this lasts.
Let's ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you?
So, okay, the question is calling her a DEI hire acceptable? And do you support it? Okay. Will he even say DEI in his answer, let alone engage with the question at all? Or is he going to angle it back, talk about how the fake news media is constantly attacking him, maybe some of the horrible attacks that Democrats have said against him, and then talk about how great he's been for black people? Which one? Let's see. I haven't watched Trump speak enough to predict what he says, but we'll learn. We'll calibrate.
How do you define DEI?
You tell those Republicans and those supporters
Oh, he is
to
going to
stop
say
it.
DEI.
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define it?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
Give me a
literally the
definition then.
words
Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me.
Oh my God. You know what she should ask? Because he probably has no idea what anything related to DEI even. She should ask, what do you think DEI is, Mr. Trump? What does DEI look like to you? What does that mean?
Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage. And she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn
Okay, never mind. He just went a totally different direction. I shouldn't have even tried to predict. Wait, what?
Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified as
what?
a black
I
woman. She went to a
respect either
historically black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length. And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that
Well,
interview.
you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk
Jesus
about why you're here
Christ.
today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we were divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to
The blacks
stop
love me.
people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it.
I really appreciated your performance in the debate with Prager, but I felt like you just let him get away with denying the relevance of Project 2025. In my opinion, it's a pretty important topic. I'm not sure if you read it. I'm not convinced. I just don't care much about 2025. Maybe we'll read it coming in the future, in the next month or two, but right now I just don't give a fuck about it. We'll see.
But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're
can I-
taking the employment away from.
The funny thing is, oh man, there's so many ways you can go with this. You should hit him for being old and unclear. I know what's in his head and I know what he's trying to say, and he's correct. When people say black jobs, they don't mean like lower class bad job. They just mean that like jobs that black people are working, right? Like we need to do something about white jobs because the white unemployment rate is whatever, or black jobs because of black. That's what he means. That's what he's trying to say. But he can't. He either doesn't know how to phrase it, or he's just old and slow. Like he just can't. He can't say what he's trying to say. So he said what he's trying to say is like he's trying to say like a black job is just any job or any. But the way that he says it, it sounds like he's trying to run away from what he just said.
Exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're
can I-
taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happened. The first group of people, the black population, is affected most by that.
Is he trying to say that brown immigrants are competing with black people for DEI jobs? No. The actual econ that he'd be talking about, although I wouldn't give Trump credit for knowing any econ, but I'm sure he's got the talking points at least, is immigrants that come illegally especially tend to be people that do more lower level work. And since the black population in the United States is probably behind in education compared to other immigrant populations, especially legal immigrant populations, the native black population is probably most threatened to be displaced, maybe by illegal immigrants. Now, I'm not actually sure if that's even true. That would be the econ theory. Your biggest confound here, though, however, there would be two large confounding variables. One is that my guess is going to be that illegal immigrants probably tend to be heavily clustered in certain industries that native black people don't work in. So for instance, I would be surprised if like illegal agricultural immigrant workers, like people that go to like California to do farming jobs or whatever illegally, they probably don't compete with black people. And two, my guess is going to be that like black people tend to be clustered around cities, like highly urban areas. I don't know if illegal immigrants are competing as much in these areas as well for jobs. So I don't even know if illegal immigrants would impact jobs that black people would tend to work. But
And Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border. So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country, and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs, and frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we discussed,
what he just said shows he meant low-skilled labor instead of what you said. No, what he kind of means that, but not in the... When people say black jobs, okay, there's a very heavy normative loading that, like, black people are meant to work these jobs because these are jobs for black people, right? When he says, like, black jobs, he means that any jobs that black people would be displaced from, black people tend to work the same jobs that illegal immigrants would come over, or that he's saying illegal immigrants would come over and take. But I don't think that he means it in, like, the maliciously loaded way of, like, black jobs. These are jobs for blacks, right? You can argue that my explanation now is the same thing that other people said that he's saying, but I don't think so. I think when other people are saying he says black jobs for black people, he's using a much more negative loading there than he probably intends to use, would be my guess. I'm being a bit charitable here. It reminds me of the, oh no, oh my God, this was one of the worst flubs of all time.
Trump is
This was a black jobs moment.
a lightning rod, even when he's not there. Look what happened on The View today with guest co-host Kelly Osbourne.
There are a lot of Latinos here in this country that do agree that the immigration problem is a problem and it does need to be addressed and it does need to be fixed.
Interesting.
But making those comments, those racist comments, do not help.
And if you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that
That was a black jobs moment.
country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that
No.
you know what I mean? Like, but I'm saying that
There's more jobs to be
in LA they always
But
they don't.
Latinos are not only the
No,
only people
I didn't mean it
doing
like
that.
that. Come on. No, I would never mean it like that.
Monday night, Jim
Oof.
many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President.
I wish that somebody would just sit with Donald Trump in a room. It's like a debate death match for 30 minutes, and it's like, okay, let's ask some questions about this. You're saying that Mexico is sending crazy people, rapists, murderers, and gangbangers to the United States, right? That's what they're doing, right? Okay, sure. How are those people competing in the job market? Are you saying that, like, the gangbanging and the rape is like a part-time job and that the other part-time job is working at McDonald's? Or are the crazy people coming over and outcompeting with the native population for low-level work? How is that happening that they're doing all these things simultaneously? They're stealing the welfare and unemployment. They're crazy and rapists and murderers and gangs and thieves, but they're also working 2 or 3 jobs at the same time and taking all the work at the same time. Are these like superhuman immigrants? Are these like, these sound like the people that I want in my country. I want people, okay, that can do rape and gangbang as a part-time job while still stealing 2 other jobs from a native. These are the types of people that you need, okay? These are super soldiers. These are Antifa super soldier immigrant workers, okay? Holy Christ.
President, I want
Imagine how productive they will be in our prisons when we use them for slave labor. My God, you've taken a rapist holding down 2 part-time jobs, 2 full-time jobs, you've taken him off the street, you put him in prison, and now you can work him for free? This motherfucker's gonna be working 36 hours a day.
to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural.
Also, wait, sorry, hold on, because we do econ here, okay? All right? It's not the upper class that's coming here, Destiny. Be honest. So number one, I've never even implied the opposite. So you typing be honest at the end there, that's just like a talking point, okay? That lying, manipulative fucking retards like you use because you put it at the end of sentences so you think it sounds good, okay? I've never implied that it's the upper class coming here, okay? That is true for a lot of our legal immigrant population because it's hard to legally immigrate here, especially from overseas if you're not in the upper class, okay? Number one. Number two, it is a myth that only educated immigrants are good. That's not true, okay? Especially if you're a conservative and you like to jerk off over supply side economics when you guys actually cared about policy and econ. One of your largest and most important economic inputs is your supply of labor. Lower class, poor workers are still good workers. A worker is a worker, okay? The pie is not fixed. Okay, it's not like some guy's coming over, he's stealing, some of your pink starbursts, all right? There's enough starbursts for everybody. People come over, your entire economy grows, your supply of labor, your consumption of goods and services increases, all right? Even poor workers coming over is beneficial. Sometimes poor workers coming over can be more beneficial, depending upon what your economic situation looks like, okay? So the idea, there is an economics myth that the only types of immigrants that are good are high-skill immigrants. That is not true. All labor is good. That's why in Europe, they try to obsessively import, at least seasonally, workers from the East, from Eastern Europe and shit. They're not going over to fucking Romania and fucking Poland and begging them, can we please get some seasonal litigators over here? We really need some more doctors, okay, in the wintertime. No. Or more doctors in the summertime. No. They want low-skill workers to come over and work. There's a lot of work to be done.
Get into how.
Do you think there is a point where cultural effects of immigration could be so large or negative that the economic effects don't make up for it? I think that it's definitely possible that could be the case. And I think that maybe 10 years ago, I think Nazis maybe could have made that argument. But like the illegal immigrant who pays $5,000 and throws away his entire life in Mexico to come to the United States of America to try to work a job, not get arrested, and pay for his family probably shares more in common with like an Alexander Hamilton or Benjamin Franklin than any authoritarian, supportive, anti-American, anti-patriotic, military-hating, anti-federalist, anti-constitutional, Trump-supporting piece of shit does these days, right? I would take 5 billion, okay, of the slickest-backed, the wettest, most Hispanic fucking Mexican people right now in this country versus the Hitler-esque authoritarian-supporting, crazy fucking fascist Trump people right now, okay? The people that support Donald Trump right now have absolutely nothing in common with the core base values of what it means to be an American citizen, okay? These guys will clap and applaud when Donald Trump talks about suspending the Constitution and jailing people for their First Amendment rights. Fuck these people. I've never heard a Mexican tell me, if you burn a flag, I want to put you in jail for it. I've never heard that in my fucking life. Never heard that in my life before from a brown person.
And our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
True.
It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts. And
Destiny has never met a single person like he is describing. He lives in a high-rise in Miami. I've lived all over the place. When I lived in Huntington Beach, there was a restaurant near me that said there was a sign on the outside. I feel like this might have even made the local news maybe. They had a sign on their thing that said no, it was either no vaccinated people allowed, or it might have been no masks allowed on the door. Well, you can harass Melina and ask her, because I'm pretty sure we both walk by this place like daily. Like, I have seen these people. My parents are these people. Fuck you.
this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms, when you look statistically. Yeah. How do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to money?
So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment, because I guess, you know, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually. but so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%. And
what are the best arguments against mass deporting immigrants who commit crimes? I think it depends on the crime. If it's like a speeding ticket, fuck it. If you want to stay here and work, we want people that want to work. These are good people. If you've committed like a felony, like a violent crime, and you're an illegal immigrant, kick them the fuck out. You're here illegally anyway, motherfucker. How can you fuck up that bad? Okay? If you're dumb enough to sneak into a country and get caught doing a felony, then kick them the fuck out. That's an easy one. Left and right should agree on that one.
you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it. Because
I also grew up on talk radio. I feel like the destruction of the middle class has been talked about for decades. Is it destroyed yet? I don't even know what the middle class even is. I don't know what that means anymore. There's so many things that I wonder about that. Like, I wonder if one problem is that the poor classes have kind of caught up in some ways of standard of living. Like the fact that almost everybody seems to have a fucking smartphone or the internet now, when that used to be like, that was a middle class thing. Like growing up, if you had like a family computer, that was like ooh, this person is like doing decently. They got the Pentium 4, 1 gigahertz. 1 gigahertz? He's got the Pentium 4, the gateway machine with the cows and the so I'm not sure. I don't know what middle class definitionally, I don't know what that means. Like, you know you're middle class when, I don't know.
because of inflation. Inflation is a disaster, and it's destroying our country, and it's destroying the black community probably as much or more
So what do you do?
than any
What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history. And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, you know, let's keep going and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing where you say, let's bring in another fighter.
Hey, Aunt Destiny, I was wondering how to approach this. I am trying to convince a friend of the false elector scheme, but he seems to just disregard the committee's findings, given it's a 7-2 Dem/Republican. If you live in the United States, then you're probably fucked. Because healthcare is really expensive here, and unfortunately, it sounds like your friend probably has brain cancer, and there's nothing that you can do to help him. Just because a thing comes from a source that you doesn't like doesn't mean that the information is fake or not true. To pretend that, like, oh, well, Donald Trump said that he was 82 years old. Oh, yeah? That was in the J6 committee. I don't trust that. Oh, in the J6 committee, they said that the earth was round. Well, now I know it's flat. Oh, in the J6 committee, they said that, like, that's fucking retarded. If you want, you can hit him on the actual historical, it was a couple of years ago. You could actually hit him with the fact that, okay, well, they tried to get Republicans to participate in the J6 committee, but guess what? I think it was McCarthy. Why do I feel like it was McCarthy? Who was in charge of... Pelosi reached out to put together a panel to have Republicans on this, and I think McCarthy might have been one of the big guys who was involved in these negotiations. They didn't want people. I think they suggested 5, and I think 2 got rejected. Like, I think one was Jim Jordan, and I don't remember the other guy, but because they were going to be investigated by the J6 committee, and they didn't feel like it was appropriate to have them. And when 2 were rejected, I think McCarthy said, oh, well, in that case, we're not going to give you anybody. Fuck you. We're not going to participate. And the reason why, in my opinion, was for what your friend is saying now, okay, who is a fucking tool, by the way. It was exactly so that dipshits like your friend could go, oh, it's not legitimate because it's all Democrats, so it must be biased. So it's not actually real. which is probably McCarthy's whole goal the entire time. Tell him to actually like grow the fuck up. You know, if he's 12, then what he said is acceptable. If he's older than 16, then tell him, hey, why don't you engage with the underlying subject matter rather than just trying to write it off because you don't like the fact that it was 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Like everybody interviewed basically was a Republican. Nobody denies any of the shit that's being said. A lot of this was presented to Congress. A lot of this testimony was given under oath. A lot of this is in the form of deposition. All of these people are available publicly to talk to. A lot of the information is now also showing up in criminal indictments. A lot of the information has also been reported by the media. Like, I mean, like what there's a nonsense talking point, right? Your friend should, you know what he needs to do.
So our whole campaign was steered toward him, and now we have to steer toward him. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies. They want to get rid of.
Do you think that Biden's Supreme Court reform, is it all likely to go through with some of the newfound momentum of Harris's campaign? No. Biden, in my opinion, his Supreme Court reform is super, super, super partisan. And I don't think anything like that will pass unless you've got like a super majority in the House and Senate or whatever.
As you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within our country. Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years.
Wow. True. Partisan isn't not good? No, partisan isn't politically partisan. Like, why would you have an ethics restriction on who could be a Supreme Court judge when conservatives are highly unethical people?
And they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58, whatever it may be. They don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers, and you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country.
It's not even like a good, I don't even know. What the fuck is this? Why? What in the fuck is he even saying? Why can he not ever speak a real fucking sentence? Sorry, let's listen from the beginning of this.
I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a...
How many other classes are there? Trump is like the kid. You know when people put et cetera, it's because they're out of examples, but you just put et cetera to make it sound like there's so many more. It's hurting the upper class, the middle class, and all the rest of the classes. What, the black class? What?
Disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation.
God, can I just say for one real quick second how fucking lucky, okay? Just as nobody will ever talk about this, and it's not worth talking about, but whatever, I don't care. I will, because I don't give a fuck, okay? There is a class of people that actually make out like filthy fucking dogs when it comes to inflation, okay? Remember, inflation, in the broadest sense of the term, arguably devalues, okay, currency. Arguably, right? In a very, very broad, very macro sense, it devalues currency, okay? People that have non-cash assets are kind of insulated because the value of the asset increases, inflation, right? And people that have cash debt also benefit from inflation. So imagine right now, okay, the real evil people right now are the fucking homeowners. More people than at any point in U.S. history have a refinanced mortgage that's like fucking 2.5%. So the money is fucking free, okay? They have huge houses. The money is fucking free. And now not only is the money free, but now you've had a couple years of really big, okay, year-over-year inflation. You know what doesn't inflate? The amount of money that they owe on their home. So the price of their home is going up. The absolute dollar value of the mortgage remains the same. The inflated value means that the debt that they owe on their house is decreasing, and they have historically low interest rates than at any point in fucking U.S. history, okay? Fuck homeowners, okay? Absolutely fucking disgusting, okay? Fuck, there was this one graph. I'll never be able to find it again. It's like percentage of homeowners, current interest rates. The amount of people that own homes right now with just interest rates that are financed at disgusting fucking rates is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think this was I remember seeing this graph on a tweet in maybe a year ago. Fuck. Can I find this? Nearly 89% of U.S. homeowners, 6% is fucking high. It was an ungodly amount. I want to say it was below 3%. It was. Are these new mortgages also, or are these? This is in February. Do you still own that house in Nebraska? Yeah, I do. Oh, it might have been this, maybe. Look at how much of the market, right? Mortgage holders. This is all mortgage holders, not just new mortgages, right? In 2022, almost 60% of the market was at under 4% for interest rate on a loan. Unreal. Almost a quarter of the market below 3% on their mortgage. Unreal. And now you've got the inflated value is effectively reducing the debt owed, plus the increase in the value of their homes and everything. Unreal. Did I refinance? No, I just need to pay mine off. I'm just a lazy fuck. Why do you say it's disgusting? It's just an expression. I guess it sounds normatively loaded. It's just really good. If you were a homeowner and you bought or you refinanced when the rates were super low, you're in such an unbelievably good position. However, because owning a home is a dog shit way to build wealth, but it is the most important way that all Americans build wealth. When they build wealth using their homes, they don't feel it and they don't feel good about it. And so when everything inflates, they feel like shit because they're not actually gaining anything when their home value inflates because fucking retarded Americans don't want to ever sell their fucking homes. So that's why I hate homeownership as a vehicle of wealth building. It's so stupid. You can't pull money out of that. Wow, great. My home is worth, you can tell me right now, my home in Nebraska is worth $10 million. Okay, what the fuck am I going to do? Take out a HELOC and go buy a fucking dick sucking machine? Like, how am I going to access that equity? What, am I going to rebuild my kitchen? Like, it doesn't do anything for me. Cringe. Okay, anyway.
Inflation is a disaster, and it's destroying our...
Yeah, true. I think it's an inheritance thing to pass down to their kids, but nobody's dying. Yeah, even fucking inheritances don't matter anymore, okay? Because people stop dying. Boomers never die. They don't ever die in this country. They're all 85, 90 years old. It's unreal. They consume healthcare. They don't work. They eat our Social Security and our fucking Medicare, and they don't give us any money. And they are. It's every accusation is a confession. Boomers are the mythical immigrant. They're the people that are stealing the welfare and stealing the jobs at the same fucking time. It's them. It's the boomers. They won't fucking retire. They won't get the fuck out of the workforce. They won't fucking leave politics, okay? Feinstein literally had to be wheeled out from the Senate chambers when she was dead, okay? And they're all on fucking Social Security. These motherfuckers are collecting Social Security at the same time. What the fuck? And they still vote. My God. Hereditary was right. At 72, we're walking up the cliff. Those super low rates also basically locked people into their homes. Getting a new home loan to move would change the rate from like 3 to 7%, meaning it also reduces the velocity of the housing market. What? Hello, Flagella? Who are you? Do we have an Econ 101 graduate? Welcome. That is indeed correct. Oh, not Hereditary. I'm sorry, Midsummer. Hereditary is for annoying children. Yes, that is correct. Because like sometimes I'll like speak When I'm talking econ, I'm really not trying to normally load anything. It sounds like I'm normally loading stuff. Like I'm saying like, oh, this guy's good or this guy's bad. But it's not. People just do things predictably. They respond to economic incentives. If you're a homeowner and you buy a sick fucking home at a 2% interest rate, you're never leaving that fucking house. Same thing with a rent control thing. Why the fuck would you ever leave that house? You've got the sickest deal in the world. So what does that do to the velocity in the housing market? So you don't have as many people buying and selling, right? So you've got less units available, supply falls. You've got other people that do want to buy shit, okay? Upward pressure on prices, interest rates are higher, right? There's just so many bad impacts that come from low interest rates on those homes. We need to take homes. Here's what should happen. No home ownership. Every house owned by BlackRock. Every single person a renter. Boom. Housing issue solved in the U.S.
Our country, and it's destroying the black community probably as much or
So what do
more
you do?
than any.
What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was also
Trump wants to lower mortgage rates. What impact would that have on inflation? If that happened right now, it would just cause it to go up, right?
started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history. And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, you know, let's keep going, and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing well. You say, let's bring in another fighter. So our whole campaign was steered toward him, and now we have to steer toward him. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have
Our whole campaign was geared towards him. What? Shouldn't your campaign be geared towards like the policy platform that you're building upon, that you want to sell to America? What do you mean your whole platform was built towards him? What does that mean? What?
just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing well. You say, let's bring in another fighter. So our whole campaign was steered toward him, and now we have to steer toward him. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies.
God, I love that Prager question. I can't believe Prager was not shameless enough. He had a shameless problem, and that he needed to why did Pac-Man have a
It is hard to find comfortable.
picture of JD Vance instead of Prager? Oh wait, is this not the full one?
Well taken.
I think I asked him. This debate was brutal. Holy shit. What was his question?
With an open border. That is a given. I assume Stephen would agree with that open border and keeping a country intact are mutually exclusive. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, that's why nobody asks for an open border.
Oh, yes, the Democrats do. I mean, if you deny that, that's good. You'll be on record then as saying...
Well, define it as policy, Dennis, so we can agree.
It's really critical, really critical. Do you believe, Stephen, that the Democrats have been for a controlled border and not for an open border in the last 10 years?
I think the Democrats tried to pass comprehensive legislation that was written by Langford, a Republican in the Senate. I think Donald Trump and the Republicans are the ones that killed that, and that was on public record. So no, the Democrats have not been for open
borders.
borders.
The Democrats are for a closed border. Okay,
it's not just closed or open.
Okay.
Can you define it, though, for us?
The border is a very complicated thing.
Can you define
it's
what
not
you
complicated
mean?
It is very
at all.
complicated.
It's not complicated.
Define open
Why would you say this? Immigration policy isn't complicated. Yeah, of course. What do you mean? It's probably one of the most complicated fucking things you could do in this goddamn country, especially in the fucking United States. Holy shit. Now, fuck, where's the question? Is it? Do I do a whole story thing?
Got much information about immigration.
Okay, fine, okay, good. All right. As I said, I prefer clarity to agreement.
Can you define open border, Dennis?
Yeah.
I just want the question, okay? I just need to find the question. I don't want to listen to this bullshit. It's this one.
Because the Democrats are happy to have a great number of people come in. They're potential Democratic voters in their view.
I think it's
But
fair.
so,
Can I
Dennis,
ask for-
are you-
is there,
hold on,
wait, is there a
Stephen,
single
let's-
lawmaker or is there a single prominent Democrat that said we want open borders?
No.
Okay. As soon as he said that, I thought he was going to say, because there is like a better answer that he could give, right? Would he suppose, maybe he gave up, or maybe he just doesn't care about this debate. I don't know. What he's supposed to say is, no, just like how Donald Trump never said I want an insurrection, and you try to infer it from other things, Democrats will never come out and say they want open borders, but Democrats constantly encourage people to come here illegally. That's why illegal immigration always increases under Democratic presidents. Democrats will always do things to encourage illegal people to stay here. That's why Biden ended Remain in Mexico and then tried to reinstate it and failed because his own party fought against him. And Democrats do things to try to contravene the rightful immigration policy of the United States. That's why they support things like sanctuary cities, and that's why they don't let Texas enforce the border, right? There are answers that he could give here. I was surprised when he was just like, no. I'm like, that said, we want open borders.
No.
Okay.
And so what?
why didn't he say anything else? I don't know. That was funny to me. Whatever.
They want to get rid of, as you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within our country. Inflation.
They uploaded your video on Piers an hour ago. Oh, I think I did okay in that one. I don't talk as much, but I get out most of my important talking points. I think I hit him at the end with the... Oh, because at the end of this fucking video, he tries to do the Obama thing. Why does he try to do the Obama thing? Go read it.
We can do
it.
a
Go
bet
look it up.
right now.
Go look it up.
Let's bet. Look, he says, he ban Muslims for banned countries.
Donald check.
No,
Said,
it's not.
fact check, okay, by a true patriot. Welcome to this fact check. Obama had a list of 7 countries that were under... Oh, this guy tried to do Trump just banned the same countries that Obama did. No, he didn't, motherfucker. Obama never had those countries banned. God, these people all take me off. Wait, I'm sorry. Where's the end here?
Here, let's just bring equality for women's
Permission to compete to squad women, right? Which male, logical females, and
Wait,
to
was
be
it not at the end?
insanity, females. Women.
Correct.
Or I want to give the final word to
either of those. Oh wait, I think it might have been here.
My favorite statistic about Barack Obama is that for all the talk about Trump and deportations
Obama's
and the
not running for
border and everything
office.
else,
Pierce, let it
the
go.
truth is,
He's not running.
The
He's
truth
not
is
running.
the
He's not
greatest
running for
deporter in
office.
the history of the United States was Barack Obama. Final
Okay,
word
we
to
won't
Tommy
vote for him.
Lehman.
We're not going to vote for... I
Well,
promise
hang
not to
on.
vote for Barack Obama in 2024. I won't
He's
do
a
it.
Democrat.
Final word
He's
to
a
Tommy.
Democrat.
Or
I want to
Hunter
give the
Biden.
final
I won't vote
word
for
to
either of those.
I want to give the final word to Tommy because she was late.
Okay.
Is the worst.
Your audio is always lowered on Piers Morgan. You need to screen. Well, they do. They probably balance it so I'm not overpowering other people. And I think that mics, I think on Skype or Zoom, they might dynamically adjust when the host is talking. So.
Been, I think, in over 100 years, and they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58, whatever it may be. They don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers, and you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country and the people in our country. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
President, can I ask you another question
Yes,
that is also impacting Black Americans?
And that's very clear now. Good.
I'm sorry?
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay, so Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why?
We haven't even spoken about this. Like, why would you? Why would Donald Trump even say this? Yes. Thank you, Forbes. Yes.
Listen, you're a good-looking guy. Look at that guy. Looks like a banker from Wall Street. You can see I'm an old man, and I have grandchildren that I'm the same. You know, you're. I mean, I can just see how incredible you are by the emotion of. We're going to make it safe. We have to give authority back to law enforcement so they can properly protect people. Because right now, the law enforcement is not
My right ear.
crime is so bad in the cities. And one of the things I said is we're giving immunity. We're going to guarantee people. You know, they lose a law enforcement person. They go and stop people from robbing stores. You go to some of these department stores where 500 people walk into the stores. They walk out with air conditioning. They strip the whole store. The company goes out of business. The store is vacant for 25 years. The whole city becomes a slum. And if you do anything as a law enforcement person, they take away your house, they take away your family, they take away your pension. We're going to make it so that we're going to give them essentially immunity. We're going to make it that they are not going to be losing their pensions.
Like, what is he even talking about here? What the fuck are you even talking about? What kind of immunity can the president even give to local law enforcement? Like, what do you think you even have the authority to do here? Trump doesn't know. I don't even know if Trump knows the difference between the federal. No, actually, Trump should know really well because of every criminal case he's been involved in. I'm sure he learned a lot about structure of government at some point through his criminal process or proceedings. And he says federal immunity for police because he doesn't even understand the legal system. Oh, wait. Does he say federal immunity for police? That'd be kind of funny if that's...
They are not going to be losing their pensions.
Wait, why are you guys cuxing? I'm not seeing anything on my end.
That we're going to give immunity to police so they can do their job. I'm giving federal immunity to police officers so they can do their job. We're going to give our police...
Anyway.
Should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the woman?
Bro, if Biden made a comment like this, there would be so many comments about his age. I saw something and it didn't look good to me.
From Illinois, an unarmed black woman was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again,
are they going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that.
It depends. You would only get immunity in the times that you're innocent, and then you would not get immunity when you're guilty. What the fuck is the point of the immunity then? What do you even mean?
People to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make
Oh, no, specific. Excuse me. We only speak in slogans here, ma'am.
those
Well, right now, for the
distinctions?
most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments.
Protected? What do you mean by that? You inbred fuck? What do you mean protected? Like given immunity from criminal prosecution? Protected? Or protected as in like they donate money to them? Or protected as in like if they step outside their union hall and it's raining, somebody gives them an umbrella? What do you mean protected? I wish that the next 30 minutes of her questioning him was just on like this question. Describe to me like, where does a police officer get his authority from? Just like talk to me about like any part of this. He legitimately doesn't understand anything with government. He understands none of the structures of government. He doesn't know what anybody does for any part of the government. Like, hey, what's up?
Hello. Listen, I just have a very quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
Did you know that Jordan Peterson was on some unhinged Russian exorcism shit?
Exorcism?
I just find out. It's some deeply unhinged shit. So the only thing I knew about him in the sense of his Russian affiliation was that he was basically obsessed with all the Dostoevsky shit, regular intelligentsia stuff. So it doesn't come off to me as strange. Many people are showing off Westerners, showing off their Dostoevsky books and, as it's some sort of flex, I guess, I suppose, about how cultural they are, okay? So it's not that strange. Okay. I also saw a little bit of a video of him talking about nobody cares about Ukraine, it's actual anti-Western war, and Russia is doing fighting Western degeneracy, that sort of thing. And I saw him doing this. I also saw him very funny in a funny way, butchering Holodomor.
Uh-huh.
That's all I saw, basically. Well, he's called it Holodomor or something like that. I don't know, hula dancing or something.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all I knew. But then a friend of mine pointed out that his suits, quite a lot of them, have a Russia mate. And I'm oh, I didn't know that. And then I saw him on Rogan, I think, with the suit with Orthodox Christian, stuff, like iconography all over it. And I was like, that seems kind of Russian. And yes, the dude making his outfits is Russian. Unhinged one, even called Crazy Russian.
Wait a second.
Think about it.
The dude making his suits?
Yes, that's not all. Wait a minute. That's not even the craziest bit. Like his suits are made by Russian dude. He admitted that also on Joe Rogan. But whatever. Point is that it's not all. He named his daughter after Mikhail Gorbachev.
Interesting.
And
wait, you do know that when
really-
Peterson had his big benzodiazepine withdrawal, he went to Russia for treatment for that, right?
That's it. That's the exorcism. So basically that was all funny enough, I suppose. And his takes are kind of like similar to Mearsheimer in the sense that it's all like Russian sphere of influence. He said that like Russia was provoked by the West doing the expansion to Ukraine, all the regular shit. So it's not like that's exclusive. But he had like this drug addiction that he went to cure to Russia. And he was there like in some sort of like crazy isolation, like exorcism.
Yeah,
thing
I have no
when they,
idea
like-
why he needed to go to Russia when he's in Canada and the United States. I didn't know why he needed to go to Russia for that.
Apparently, according to him and his daughter, from what I found, is that basically like Western doctors are woke and weak.
It's fucking retarded. It's
So
so
they
stupid.
Yeah. So they, unironically, like it's not even like an exaggeration. That's basically what they said. That there are too weak and too like I don't know, like progressive, tolerant, whatever the fuck, right? Too like soft, essentially, right? To perform to have balls, he said, I think his daughter, to do like a full-on like forced detoxification or something like that. So I don't know, like what the fuck? He was like in some like isolated location. What the fuck they were doing to him there? I have like zero idea. But my own personal experience with post-Soviet treatment, let's say, is it's rough, okay? It's a very rough experience with little respect to human rights usually. So it's very interesting. But then his family went to Serbia afterwards for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, and after that he started to be a geopolitical expert and started talking about like Russia and Ukraine. Started to be like much more avidly like doing pro-Putin stuff. Basically, one of the most obvious ones I found is the fact that he says like Putin is like the fighting against Western degeneracy. He call it like decadence, but that's the same thing technically, like Western degeneracy. Yeah. So he also said a bunch of things about the fact that Russia is the bastion of Christianity meme, like the fact that it seems to be like on a Christian revival arc of sorts.
Yeah, it's a
which is
common
very,
far-right talking point, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty prominent. But he never brought up the fact that below 10% of Russians actually go to church, while in the United States, 40-something go monthly. So who's the fucking bastion of Christianity between the two? If you ask me, seems to be the US, the biggest Bible thumpers out there. But I don't know, like pretty strange. He never brought up the fact that they have one of the largest divorce rates in the, in the world, that they have alcoholism, that they have domestic violence off the charts, abortions, I think third in the world or some shit, like crazy number. So none of that, but he just brought up that they are like, this last stand against woke degeneracy, I suppose. And all of that combined with his like trip to get exorcised from the drugs by traditional, as he said, courageous and strong Russian doctors. And then all of that combined with the Russian suits and him naming his daughter after Mikhail Gorbachev is a bit cringe. Just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, I had like, I know this guy because they almost made suits for me, and now I'm wondering why they decided not to. I'm so mind-fucked on all this stupid Russian shit. The guy's name is Dmitry T, right? Is that the guy's name?
Yes, yes. I suppose it is him. Yeah.
They offered
he wanted to make suits for you.
Yeah, they offered it to me in February of 2023. Like they sent a guy over and we did measurements and everything. But then eventually when I started fighting with Muslims, they said that it was funny because they reached out initially. It was like, we really like that you speak out against everybody and you're so like edgy and you fight everybody and that's cool. But then as soon as the Muslim stuff started, they were like, oh, I'm sorry, like this is like a little bit too hot now. Like maybe we'll recheck in the future.
I don't know about this guy, but I'm pretty sure like he's like pretty like avidly pro-war, you know? So like, but pro-invasion and things like that. But all I know is that he suggests his like designer stuff, like his suits to people who are like, I guess you could say like provocative. It's a little bit of a weird word, but you know, the people like who speak out. Jordan Peterson said that he was following his work and like commending him on like being such a, you know, anti-woke icon, I guess. I don't know why he would consider you that, but maybe just because of your like, I don't know, like maybe like your reputation as being like sort of like a provocative dude. I don't know, but
I don't even know, bro. Don't talk to me about any more Russian shit. My mind is fucked on this.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
I keep reading this because the idea is to like target really controversial stuff and then to amplify controversial stuff.
Yes, no matter what it is, yeah.
Yeah, so much. Like one of the suits, technically I'm NDA'd on this, so don't tell anybody, but like this is, so for instance, maybe I'll just leave, I don't know if I give a fuck. This is like one of the suits that they were going to design for me, right? So he was saying it'd be good to have like controversial designs. This is...
Wait, you can send me, yeah? Or I don't see you like on screen.
Yeah,
so.
I'm just saying. This is one of the suit designs they had. The internal lining on this was all pictures of Hunter Biden.
Wait, what?
Now I'm just rereading these emails and these suggestions, and now I'm like, fuck me, dude. My mind is so fucked. But this was like one of the projects. Yeah, he had like controversial designs for like a lot of different types of suits or whatever.
Oh, what the hell? It has like a bunch of like Hunter Biden.
Yep.
Like body pics.
Yep. Yeah. There's like the internal lining of the
Oh damn. Yeah. Okay. I see. Well, it's not what I. Thanks for sharing, I suppose. So he didn't went with the Orthodox Russian iconography, I suppose, with you. He went a little bit of a different route.
No, it was all stuff that was more related to me, yeah. Okay, all right. I'm going to go back to watching Trump stuff. Yeah, fuck me. Fuck Russia.
That's pretty much all I wanted. I just didn't know it, so I was like, you know, wow, what the fuck? Now you know. Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have fun. Be careful. Bye.
Don't lose your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
I'm so mind fucked on Russia shit.
But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine an innocent mistake?
You go after somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous, and you know they have...
How do you know if somebody made a mistake or if it was a bad thing, though? That's what court is for, right? That's what the whole judicial process is for. What do you... Like, how do you answer this outside of a courtroom, Trump?
The policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up really quickly. You know, I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been
Oh, that's a good question.
Prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system. I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case, and I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse. I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't because he wasn't president at the time, and he had 50 years worth of documents, and they ruled that he was incompetent, and therefore he shouldn't stand trial.
He won the case, Stephen. He won it.
Wait, did he just say that?
He said, "I won the biggest case, the one out of Florida." Go back.
Oh, I didn't even
second.
hear that. Wait.
That was the most difficult case. I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case.
Oh. Well, I mean, I guess he did, figuratively speaking.
You're goddamn right he did by appointing the right judge.
True.
Biding his time.
Thanks for the $50, Olivia. What?
What'd you say?
Oh, I got a $50 donor. What's up?
Oh, I just saw your Piers Morgan appearance. It was really good. It was good to see you and Cenk united on the same side with domestic politics. How'd that feel?
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day. Cenk and me are probably similar to audiences in that, like, if he's on your side, it's like the best feeling in the world. But when he's against you, it's the most obnoxious shit in the world. I like being on Cenk's team. Cenk is a funny guy. Cenk is a good, personable dude. Okay, but goddamn, when he's wrong, I fucking hate him. But when we're on the same team, yeah, good time.
Yeah, I've always had kind of a soft spot for him, just in terms of like I get the vibe that I get the vibe that a lot of political commentators have like this zen about them, either that they don't care or that because it's in their financial interest, no matter like what happens. Like if Trump gets reelected, that I think would be disastrous for the country, but it might be in my personal financial interest for that to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do not want that to happen, which is why I'm so passionate about beating him. The thing I like about Cenk is that you know him, I don't, but he gives the impression that he's not phoning it in. He genuinely cares about this shit, because every time he talks about it, he's always like on the verge of a breakdown. I just love that like authentic energy.
Yeah, he's definitely authentic. Off camera, I think he's pretty similar. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, his co-host on the other hand pisses me off, but that's a separate story. What'd you think of was it Libertarian Redhead? She tried to spar with you on the immunity thing. I could not believe
when these guys try to bring up
back up
any actual or the Muslim ban or anything. Yeah, Jesus, these people have no policy. Like even like when Prager either didn't know what a sanctuary city was or didn't expect me to know what a sanctuary city. Yeah, these people just bring shit up, and like it's annoying because when I go through the talking point and then we move on, like it's kind of a win for me. But if I didn't know that, you better believe that they would sit on that one point for like 3 fucking minutes, right?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If you were getting your ass kicked on presidential immunity, Piers would have just shredded the remaining topics for the rest of the episode, and you all would have sat on that for 25 minutes. But that's what kind of stunned me. You were the one who brought up presidential immunity, I think, like in the first I think it was like the first time you talked, and I was shocked because she went back, like she picked that fight. Like a couple of other people talked, and then she was responding about something else, and then she went back to pick the fight with you on presidential immunity.
Yeah. But then, why wouldn't they feel confident? Like Ben Shapiro is Harvard cum laude, and all these other conservative hack fucks have been talking about it so confidently. Like, could all of them be wrong? And some retarded fuck video game blue-haired dipshit with the name Destiny like knows more than the Harvard grads or whatever, right? So I don't even blame them for just wanting to run down the talking points. But I mean, like, it's because the rest of the media sphere is so unbelievably partisan, is so hackishly done. Like, yeah.
Well, even towards the end, I was proud of you for calling Piers out in a gentle way too. It's like you do this too, Piers, talking about the conflation between Twitter randos who might get on your fucking nerves but have no meaningful power whatsoever. Certainly, they don't wield state power.
Yeah. However, I did point that out because it's so annoying that they always do that. Oh, like this guy got fired, but then on the left, Nancy Mom 6482 on Twitter can say this and nothing happens to her. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I couldn't call that out because I think I would just look unhinged or salty. Every single time Piers referred to Trump, it was always like he said this hilarious thing, this unbelievably funny thing. And every time he referred to Biden, he was like, another embarrassing, horrible gaffe. We were all watched in horror as he said this thing that was so embarrassing and cringe. And like, oh God, like the difference in how he would refer to the two every single event was so unreal.
Oh, 100%. So a couple of things. So one of the things I think we have in common, you and I, is that we're kind of, especially as you've gotten on Vyvanse and you've dove deeper into like the Federalist Papers and everything, you're very civics pilled. And I'm perfectly willing to admit, as partisan as I get, I really like a lot of the pageantry and civics associated with American politics. So, for example, in my videos, I make a habit of anytime I refer to like George Bush or Ronald Reagan, it's President Bush, it's President Reagan, it's President Washington, President Lincoln, because I think these titles matter and I think the offices matter. The only person I don't do it for is Donald Trump, because fuck that guy. Jesus. Even though he is a former president, he's an insurrectionist, whatever. He's a walking embarrassment.
You know what? You should still call him President Trump.
But wait. But my point is, what you just identified as something. If you look on right-wing media, if you look alternate media, Tim Pool, like I actually did this Tim Pool and the Canadian girl that you spar with, the Lauren, they're part of like this Tenet Media thing, and their Tenet Media Twitter page popped up on my Twitter feed, and I noticed like when they reference Donald Trump, it's President Trump. It's President Trump.
And then what? As opposed to what, Joe Biden? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Even though, somebody went viral actually yesterday or the day before. I think it was Ted Cruz when he was ripping the acting Secret Service director a new one. And the tangent was about, how much protection is afforded to Donald Trump versus President Biden. And the acting Secret Service director had to make a point like, Joe Biden's the sitting fucking president. He is more important than Donald Trump. He is going to get more protection than Donald Trump. Are you out of your fucking mind, you fucking morons? So anyway, that kind of asymmetry that you talked about in terms of how they refer to Donald Trump versus President Biden, it's very obvious if you start paying attention to it.
For sure, yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you where you were about to say something.
It wasn't important. Whatever it was. No, I agree with you though. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna make a joke because you said he's not the president, and it reminded me of that Band of Brothers scene where it was like, "You should be saluting me, okay? You don't salute the person, you salute the rank, okay?"
See, I thought you were gonna make a Game of Thrones reference when Tywin Lannister said, "Any man who must say I am the king is no true king."
True, but no, not that one.
And then I saw your Prager debate. Which one were you more satisfied with, going up against Prager or sparring with Libertarian Redhead and the other guy?
The Prager one was destruction. Okay.
How long had that been in the works? Because given some of the spicy things that you've said recently, I figured that Prager would be somebody who'd kind of bitch out of like interacting with you.
No, I don't know. I think it's been in the works for like 2 weeks, maybe.
Oh, gotcha.
Maybe a little longer. David Pakman set that up, so.
Yeah, it was really good, man. All right. Well, listen, you enjoy the rest of this very unhinged press conference that Donald Trump has, and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, have fun. Be careful.
See you, buddy.
Sorry, hold on. She tweeted that she destroyed me, so now I have to find this clip. 1 second.
Don't talk over each other, please. Hang on. Let me bring in Destiny to respond to that question.
Yeah, the president signaling that he might be okay with a thing at this point is irrelevant. Roe v. Wade was overturned. The idea that this court cares about legislating from the bench when they granted the president criminal immunity, which is something that is completely unfounded in any part historically of our legislative tradition, of our judicial tradition, or in the Constitution. The idea that the president might signal he's okay with abortion pills sent through the mail doesn't matter if a state now has the ability to heavily restrict or outright ban abortion. And this idea that people outright ban abortion, that's... I think you're talking to right now. That's great, but what Cenk said was absolutely correct. What Cenk said was correct. If you go and look at the restrictive abortion laws...
People have the right to vote. Good job. They do.
Exist throughout the country right now. They are far more restrictive in Republican states, and some of them you might be pregnant, you don't even know. And by the time you realize you're pregnant, it's already banned for you to get an abortion. Some of them you might be pregnant, you don't even know. And by the time you realize you're pregnant, it's already banned for you to get an abortion.
The people without children.
Let me just make a clip because we talked about Supreme Court and reverting rights to states and so on. Let's play a clip. This is from Joe Biden's speech after 6
Where was this point? Where did I fight with her on?
What idea of President Biden?
Actually, and that's being the court, liberals on the court,
getting not here?
Basically millions of dollars in value from incredibly rich people who run corporations, and then they rule in favor of those corporations. It's just about as corrupt as it could possibly be.
Obviously, the problem looking at it from the outside is that when you have, as Donald Trump found in his last...
This is misrepresented by conservatives so much, okay? So there were 4 different actions that the court spoke about. Robert's Rule, one of them is qualifying for absolute immunity.
No one's really, when they had the Supreme Court, so that's constitutional in years. And now it's the first time where it's switched and it's starting to...
Cool. Doesn't lose its ability to be impartial?
But we had a liberal leaning Supreme Court for 60 years, and now it's the first time where it's switched and it's starting to lean conservative again for the first time in a long time. Now, if you want to add term
lean conservative
limits to the Supreme Court, that would require a constitutional amendment of Article 3, and that would mean two-thirds of Congress and 3/4 of the states would have to agree to term limits on the Supreme Court. So that's just not something you can wave a wand and do. Also, it'd be unconstitutional to punish the president for performing his enumerated and implied powers in SCOTUS when they had on the Supreme Court. So that's just not something you can wave a wand and do. Also,
it was this. It was right here. This stupid shit.
So it'd be unconstitutional to punish the president for performing his enumerated and implied powers in SCOTUS when they had said that they weren't going to criminalize this. SCOTUS had asked the lower courts to determine that scope, but no one's really talking about that part. It was SCOTUS had sent it back to the lower courts. They didn't just rule on it blindly.
What? It's okay. None of what she said just made sense. They sent it back to the lower courts. They didn't just rule on it blindly. That sentence doesn't even make sense. And they didn't even send the whole thing back. But that's okay. Anyway, okay, don't care. We're not doing this. I tweeted at her. I said my tweet. We are going to get through this Trump debate. Let's go.
It was the most difficult case, and I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse. I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't, because he wasn't president at the time, and he had 50 years' worth of documents, and they ruled that he was incompetent, and therefore he shouldn't stand trial. And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent, and he can't stand trial, and yet he can be president. Isn't that nice?
Mr. President,
but they released him on the basis that he was incompetent. They said he had no memory, and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory, and therefore we're not going to prosecute him. I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
We covered you extensively, sir. I'd love to move over onto
I didn't notice you
now.
do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent.
I can't believe he keeps saying that. He can really say that he won that case? You didn't win the case. Why did he keep saying that?
I have another one where
Sir,
I have a hostile judge.
We have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different topics.
Excuse me, you're the one that held me up at 35 minutes, just so you know.
Jesus Christ, he's so rude. Oof, you're not in front of a friendly audience, Mr. President. Well, is he? I mean, the audience actually was clapping for him, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
Where
Sir,
I have a hostile judge.
We have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different topics.
Excuse me, you're the one that held me up at 35 minutes, just so you understand.
If we can move on now to the state of the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator J.D. Vance is your running mate. He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past. He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children. Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate, and do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family-oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families, and I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here. He also says that people that don't have children should get less votes than those that do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Is that your
and I think I'm
position?
speaking for him too. He strongly believes in family, but I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family, and the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family-oriented. But that doesn't mean if you don't have a family, there's something wrong with it.
Just one last point and then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of American life is one person, one vote.
Do you see how Trump just phrases it positively and then moves the fuck on, right? He's shameless. He didn't give a fuck what Vance actually said or what he actually meant. This is what J.D. Vance should be doing when he's being interviewed. Instead of trying to do the traditional politician route of like, well, I need to explain what I said or apologize for it. Just like fucking make some bullshit up about it and then just move the fuck on. That's it. Boom. Tell them what they want to hear and then move the fuck on.
Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I've ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our...
Boom. See, look at that. Look at how look at that. I don't even know what you're talking about, bitch. Get the fuck out. Illegal immigrants coming here, rapists, thieves, murderers. Can we talk about that some more? What a great pivot. You just like dodge that shit and keep on fucking rolling.
Well, no, but it's not something I've ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our country.
They vote.
Many from prisons and many from mental institutions.
And the rapists.
They want to give them votes.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have votes. They came into
True.
our country illegally. And they're taking the vote away from all of the people in this room.
Oh, look, and she took the bait.
Here a long time, that have worked hard, that in many cases, and you'll see this happening, if I'm not elected, you're going to see it happening. If I am, you're not going to have any problem. But you're going to see it happening a long time. You're going to see the people in this room and people outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that vice president question, candidate question was right in there with that.
Ooh, so she kind of identified that he pivoted, but it sounds like she's about to ask a different question instead of holding him to answer on that one.
So let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose J.D. Vance?
Why did I?
Why did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time.
He's like, what?
I'm hearing too.
I chose him
Everybody
because,
out there can, but it's
I'll
hard
tell you
to hear.
why. I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. But you have many of those people, they were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy without the benefit of having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well connected. He got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I mean, you take a look at his career. It's been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation, very difficult with the mother and the father and everything else. He ends up going to Yale Law School.
It's a difficult situation with the mother, the father, and everything else. Okay.
Was one of the top students, became the head of the Law Journal.
Also, wait, real quick. Do we like the Act Man YouTube, the acting male? Do we like this guy? Is this a good guy or a bad guy?
I mean, that's an amazing thing. He's a 4-year, he was in the military.
Oh, he's got like 2 million subs. Oh, shit. But is he a good guy or a bad guy?
With great distinction for 4 years. Got out, went into business,
Hit or
became
miss.
successful in business, very successful in business, actually. Did public offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean,
I like how, like, what would you call this kind of way of speaking? He now believes in work. He is smart. He believes in the woman. Like, he's just doing like an audition basically for JD Vance, right? Why did you pick this guy as your vice president? This guy was on the top of the leaderboards for RuneScape Ironman. This guy laddered, and he hit Grandmaster with all 3 races. He's 6'1", tall. He's got one of the best. He's got 20/20 vision. This guy sees like an eagle. It's unbelievable. He's only had 1 speeding ticket. It's just like every positive thing he can think of, he just kind of like rattles it off, and nothing has any like. This is why you chose him as a VP because he went to Harvard. You chose him as a VP because he believes in work? Like,
somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale who was also outstanding, and they get married, they have a beautiful family. But he had he's made himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped. But he wins the Senate. He becomes a United States Senator. So he's a United States Senator. And so, Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people for their success.
The reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. We'd been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what was next.
See, like he didn't answer the question. He got away from it completely, and now we just move on to the next thing.
Yeah. And 2 days after that,
I cannot understand your microphone.
I know
is so
it is really hard for me to understand.
I can understand you perfectly.
Because she's closer.
I can understand you.
Happy to hear that.
But I can't
Really
understand Harris.
I have a few more questions.
Because of the distance, and the mics are really in lousy shape. But I cannot understand what you're saying.
So what I wanted to say was the last time we.
You know what's happening? This is pretty amateurish for the setup. Maybe they have a bigger audience than what they're used to having, but what's probably happening is there's some sort of digital routing for the audio, and when you speak into the microphones, what's happening is as you speak, there's maybe like a half a second delay from what's coming out of the speakers. So when you talk and then it's coming out delayed in this huge hall and it's echoey and reverby, you can't hear what anybody is fucking saying. I've been on stages like this before where this stupid shit is happening. But somebody fucked something up. If that's either the people should be sitting closer to each other so they can actually hear each other. There can't be a delay on the speakers, which is probably harder to do. Or the speakers are aimed out in the audience, so there's not enough like reverb in the room so that it's not fucking the speakers up on stage. But if he's saying he can't hear, that's probably what's going on. That's what it sounds like.
In lousy shape, but I cannot understand what you're saying.
So what I wanted to say was the last time we spoke, you said some words that were prophetic because I asked you who you wanted to choose for vice president.
Yep.
Can't you fix this by giving everyone an earpiece with a live feed? You might be able to do that. You theoretically could, but I've never seen that before. Usually at conferences or events like these, you're not expecting people to put in an earpiece or headphones to hear each other. Usually you can just either hear each other speak or there's not like a delay on the speakers or something else.
And you said normally it really wouldn't matter what they would bring. You choose somebody that you think has a future, that sort of thing. But you said these words 3.5 hours before an attempted assassination on your life. You told me that bad things happen, Harris. And that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at JD Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him.
Jesus Christ. Wait, am I misunderstanding? Is she asking, like, on day one, is he going to be ready if you get assassinated? Is that what she's implying? That's such a hardcore and slightly inappropriate question, but okay. Or I guess no, it's not. That's not inappropriate. I guess there was an assassination attempt. It's your vice president, so he's got to be the one to step up. I understand it.
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side.
Wait. What?
And I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any
in terms of the election, okay. Because I was going to say, you were shitting on Kamala for her job as vice president, but he's saying in terms of the election, okay.
impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons than what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference.
Oh, and he doesn't understand her question because she was too vague, and Trump needs it like spelled out in the most explicit manner possible. He doesn't understand the question.
You're voting for the president.
Or he just doesn't want to answer it, I'm not sure.
You can have a vice president who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. I think that all of them would have been. But you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president. You're voting for me. If you like me, I'm going to win. If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance question in.
J.D. Vance?
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance
Sure.
question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well, I mean, my
But
point
at
is
least
here.
it was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem.
One thing, I might pay more attention to this in the future. I don't do like a lot of I just don't watch a lot of Trump interactions. One thing that Trump I think is really good at, just in watching this speech, it's kind of manipulative, it's super manipulative, is that if you're mean to Trump or if you do something bad to him, he will punish you for it. Okay, so whether we're talking on like a business level, if you're the media, you're not getting him favorable coverage, and he doesn't want to go on your program, so he'll punish you for it. In conversations, when you're mean, when you ask tough questions, when you say things, he punishes you for it, and it makes it very uncomfortable to tread water, when you're being adversarial with Trump. But if you're either being neutral or nice, he's like very funny, very personable, like is polite, like will kind of like joke along with you and like say nice things, right? You kind of saw it a little bit, I think, happen here when.
Vance is saying.
I don't think.
I think, wait, if I.
Said in a friendly manner.
My people like yourself. Do you think, well, I mean, my
But
point
at
is
least
here.
it was said in a friendly manner.
Oh, he's talking about J.D. Vance saying it in a friendly manner, but okay, right. But like he's not attacking her like over the divorce stuff or like saying anything mean or nasty here because they're being kind of friendly. I feel like he does this a decent amount. I know that he does in terms of how he conducts himself like on the macro level, but I feel like in conversations as well, like when you're mean, you ask him tough questions. He really goes in on you.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
No, he's saying she said he was divorced in a friendly manner, not as a criticism. Oh, no. Oh, he's saying she said. Okay, I'm sorry. Fuck, hold on.
Political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the who's out by you, J.D. Vance?
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance
Sure.
question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well, I mean, my point is here.
Oh, fuck. Why? I heard this completely differently. Forget everything I just said. What? How did I hear? I thought she said divorce people like myself. I completely heard this differently.
If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance question in.
My bad. Never mind. Forget like 80% of what I just said. Why so fucking quiet? Stupid fucking videos.
J.D. Vance?
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance
Sure.
question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well, I mean, my
But
point
at
is
least
here.
it was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican
He is telling a joke about it though, but.
Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the
But I
death,
think it's
they're
about
allowing
freedom,
the death
right?
of a baby after the baby is born based on
Sir,
the
that's
governor of
illegal in
Virginia.
every
It's about freedom. You shouldn't say it's about freedom. Do not ever okay, if I do have any sway in terms of Democrats listening to me or doing messaging, okay, I can't tell, but if Mehdi Hassan, if you're listening, do not ever own the third trimester bullshit. Do not ever fucking own that. It is so cringe. Nobody does this. Nobody wants to do it. It's sociopathic to imply that there are all these women out there that are aborting their third trimester babies, okay? Like, bro, at that point, the mom, if the dad's still there, if there's family, you're touching the belly, you're seeing the legs like kick out, you can feel him moving around. He's already got like a kind of personality. Like, the idea that there are women out here that are like, month 9, nah, let's go fucking vacuum this motherfucker out. That is a sociopathic statement, okay? Do not ever let a Republican accuse you of supporting third trimester, 9th month abortions. That's wild. Okay, fuck that.
Based on the governor of Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby.
Yeah, I think Pete talking about it is a little bit better. I think, doesn't Pete focus on the idea that like if people are making a decision at this point, this is a really difficult, really painful decision, and it's basically always being made for life of the mother at risk here. Like, ugh.
Is illegal.
After it's born, they're
It's a crime.
allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well,
of
Democrats
pregnancy.
have denied-
I think they're right. And I think the Republican Party is actually much less. I think I've made them much less radical, perhaps. But the Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it.
Pete had an excellent response to this. This is a family that has already picked a name, already bought a crib. No one chooses this. That is true. Yeah, I guess. That is true. I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe we need to pull more moms. The room stuff and everything is true. But man, like when you've hit like, what would it be, like month? Is it like 5 or 6 is when you start feeling like quite a bit of movement? When you're in that third trimester, you feel it's like a whole dude. That's like a guy. He's a real guy that's in there, and he's got a personality. You can feel him. He like responds to external shit. Like the dad can feel it. It's like that's like the crib and the name and all that is sure, but there's like a real duder in there at that point. Third trimester, there is a baby floating in your stomach, and everybody around you can tell. You can put your hands there, feel it. You can. It's so much more real at that point. Damn, the idea of like a boy, it's like you're killing a baby. You super are. It like doesn't even feel like yeah, but. Yeah, Jesus.
Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it, everybody.
But the majority
wanted it
of
back.
Americans oppose Roe v. Wade being overturned.
They don't know about this. Right now they're voting. It brought it back to the states. Now I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do.
It's the worst abortion argument. Rape, incest, and life of the mother. Life of the mother is good, but rape? Why the fuck would rape give you the... Like, if you think that abortion is murder, why can you murder a baby if it was a rape baby? It's so stupid.
I think most people do. I think most Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now they're doing, it's an amazing thing. Out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting, and it's taking this issue that's been going on for 52 years, and it's torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on, and they're voting. And many states have already voted. Others are in the process of voting. And it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people. And it's not at all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Most people believe in the 3 exceptions. Most Republicans believe in the exceptions. But they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add, who said, we set the baby aside, and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby. That's a radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question about, you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president at 82, which is older than Biden is right now.
But not mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's a question.
He shot. But most people, I know many people in their 80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our greatest leaders. You look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider?
Huh. Interesting. Okay. We feel like we changed course on that a little bit, but okay.
But not mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's a question.
He shot. But most people, I know many people in their 80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our greatest leaders. You look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Absolutely.
And who would
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a nasty, that wasn't a question. She didn't ask me a question. She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your statement, sir, actually.
You said you would.
Oh, absolutely. If I thought that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an app.
Careful. Hold on. Because we've got a lot of statements from President Trump about what should happen for people running for. Remember the if you're under investigation by the FBI, you shouldn't be allowed to run for president. Remember that one? Careful on these.
I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test.
What about to publish their taxes?
I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them.
Well,
I took 2 of them. But let me ask you, I would like to have.
I like how you say you aced an aptitude test. Like that's like acing like a neural like a cranial fuck. What do you call it? Cranial nerve exam, where they just make sure that your brain is working. Like, I aced this. Provide resistance. Push up. Yes. Wow. Good job. Your brain is sending the signals that it needs to for your motor function to happen. I aced that test. Like, congratulations.
People running for president, and I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional. I would like to have something passed where you can do it. I think we should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened in the last couple of years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. What he has done to our country, and her too, what they've done to our country, she has been a horrible vice president. She's considered the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Don't mean to interrupt you, but would you consider taking the cognitive test?
Mr. President,
I would love to do
make
it
it public.
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr. President, how do you intend to?
I suggested, Harris, that let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Failed her law exam. What, did she not pass the bar the first pass or whatever? What, she was AG and DA. What is he referring to here? A Kamala Harris bar exam? Oh, she failed the California bar in her first attempt. And then she did it the second time. Wait. Failed the California bar exam in her first attempt soon after she graduated law school in 1989. Wait, what? Am I reading this sentence? Am I crazy? Could this sentence have two meanings? Okay, they failed their bar exam on their first attempt soon after she graduated law school in 1989. Like she graduated after she took the bar. Or she failed the bar exam on her first attempt soon after she graduated law school in 1989. She failed it right after she graduated. Could this sentence mean two things? It has two meanings. Yes, it does. Okay. Different bars have different pass-fail rates the first time you take them. I'm pretty sure you can take the bar as many times as you want, though. I don't think there's a penalty for failing. They might even do bar exams multiple times per year. Pass rate, California bar. California bar exam is widely considered to be the most difficult of all bar exams in the U.S. The California bar exam has a pass rate of 34%. Damn. 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 Oh, fuck, that's right. California, the California bar rate is scuffed because you don't need to attend an institution to take it. California might be one of the only states that lets random people take the bar. Wait, does that mean if you take the bar and pass, can you become licensed? Can you be licensed to practice law in California with no law school? Can I take the California bar exam without law school? Many aspiring lawyers wonder if they can take the California bar exam without actually going to law school. The short answer is yes, they can in the state of California. There are avenues that make it is possible to become an attorney without going to law school. However, there's so many things you should consider before doing this. Wait a second. This is the next arc. 7 years of school we wouldn't have to do? Hold on. There's got to be like a catch for this, right? You can do this by completing a 4-year law office study program to become a legal professional. Fuck that. Never mind. Nope, we're done. To qualify, among other reporting procedural compliance, a person must study law in a law office or judge's chambers during regular for at least 18 each week for a minimum of 18 hours each week for a minimum of 48 weeks to receive credit for 1 year of study. Pass the first year law students examination, also known as the baby bar. Jesus. Okay. Sorry. How many times has Trump passed the bar exam? Why would you make fun of Kamala for...
Mr. President, you're saying she wouldn't have passed. Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
To be clear, you don't think
I'm
you're
just
supposed
giving
to.
you the facts. She didn't pass her bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it, and I don't know what happened. Maybe she...
But then she...
She did pass it.
There's a man over here, I think he must work for her.
Mr. President, I would love to ask you about January 6th. You called yourself a candidate of law and order.
Yeah.
When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones, at least one officer lost an eye, one had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs, another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol. horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those,
what's going to happen to the people that tried to
rioters who assaulted officers. Would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just under much more openly than I saw on January.
If they were innocent, I would pardon them. He says so many patently stupid fucking things.
Will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to
those rioters who assaulted officers.
Would
you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just under, well, they were convicted by a very tough system. They were, how come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating
We're talking
officers with
about federal
flagpoles,
buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Really? Well,
You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady.
We need to look in. I'm adding Chaz to the list of things we have to look up. Someday we'll go back to this list of articles. We did get through the Iranian stuff at least. Chaz. What the fuck happened there? I'm so curious.
In the face who was protesting, they shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died.
Wait, nobody died what day? January 6th? Don't forget your Ashley Babbitt.
You would pardon those rioters?
Or did he say, is he just meaning?
Percentage of Seattle. How come nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating
We're
officers
talking
with
about federal
flagpoles,
buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that
Really?
video,
Oh,
sir?
really? Well, they
you would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face.
Oh, okay.
Who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in Minneapolis. You know people died in Minneapolis. And nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about...
Uh-oh. What about the cops? He's about to repeat the Tucker Carlson meme. What about the cops that were letting them in and walking them around? That's how a lot of them got into the building. You know that, right? They just opened doors and they let them in, and they had them walk around.
About the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol. Go in. What about that? Look, nothing is perfect in life, but you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C., they were having fistfights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying, they were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them. And you can't have two systems of justice. That's why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that. And we're going to win our cases, and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that, and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent. That's never happened in our country before, and it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
What do you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. I want people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down. I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down, so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham sandwich again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%. Right? She's agreeing to me. Oh, she's agreeing. Thank you. I like you very much.
Mr. President, I think we are.
But it's true. Your grocery bills are up. And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car. Okay? I'm very much against that. You have to be able to, if you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car. But, you know, we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil, under our feet than any other country. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than any other country. I want to use it. I want to use what we have. I want to bring down prices, bring down costs, and I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Well, thank you very much.
They've been telling us.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, very much. Great honor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
NBJ will email out details.
Jesus.